what I'm just curious with children. What do you see as the primary disability that you're dealing with? Is it an inability to walk? Is it what is it?
Believe it, it's autism.
Autism.
At 1 in every 3rd child that I have is autistic, whether it be high functional or low functional. And a lot of them that are autistic are also in wheelchairs and have multiple disabilities.
Right.
And making it very hard on the parents.
And it's amazing how little we know about autism from what I've seen, because I have an autistic cousin, and I guess he would have been labeled severely autistic, and he went through the Eden program for, I think he's probably in his late 30s now. But I remember when we were children, I didn't really understand, and it was kind of foreign and strange to me because I wasn't familiar at all. Nobody explained it to me. You see all the traits,
right.
The rocking, the babbling, all the things that.
Well, one of the things that in the very beginning, myself, and not just me, and my brother also, is that they thought we were all diagnosed with learning disabilities also.
Were you all, you and
me,
your siblings?
Me and my brother, not my younger brother.
What kind of disability?
We were diagnosed with dyslexia, dyscalculia, everything under the sun.
Okay.
But there was a time where they thought that maybe I had Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, because of the fear of loud noises.
I've heard of that actually.
And
I never heard of the loud noises,
right.
but I've heard of the syndrome.
But there was a time when we thought that I had it because I'm very sensitive to loud noises. And
so 4th of July wasn't your favorite holiday?
Oh, it still isn't. Believe me, I lock the doors and hide under the bed.
Really?
Thunderstorms, I'm in the bathroom. And, but...
I also think that now my father-in-law is a pediatrician.
Yeah.
And,
very fine one, too.
Yeah, he's very good. He's got a very good reputation. But I have talked to him about autism, and I hear him talk about it all the time because he has a very, very strong interest.
I know, I spoke to him about it, too.
And I think a lot of children are misdiagnosed.
Yes.
Well, they'll think it's autism, and it's not. They're just labeled autistic because they're showing 1 or 2 traits or whatever.
That was one of the issues that I had, too. It seems to be, in this day and age, regardless of what the symptoms are of a child, they're either diagnosed as autistic or attention deficit.
Yeah.
They never...
the attention deficit thing, I never heard of that as a kid.
No.
And all of a sudden, everybody's kid has some sort of attention deficit disorder,
It seems to be we're in what I call a medicated society, and that's all they want to do. If a kid is hyperactive, throw them on medication. Yeah. When in reality, that's how kids act.
Yeah, I don't get it. And then my father-in-law and a lot of his colleagues are trying to tackle this whole area along with some others. And you've been to his site.
Yeah. And I'm trying to tackle it too because I can't. It's ridiculous.
I mean, the children who are part of the Helping Hands Initiative are generally children that, when you talk about having a party and participating in games, they can do that?
Some of them can, and some of them can't. And the ones that they can't, we offer them assistance so that they can participate.
Okay.
If they're doing like the limbo or something like that, we'll take them in their chairs and help them go under, or we'll take their hands and help them go under, so they can still fully participate. They don't have to watch.
And what other types of disabilities do you deal with?
I have people with cerebral palsy that I deal with. A lot of developmental.
Elderly? How about elderly? You mentioned earlier that.
Right. Elderly, also a lot of people that are elderly were veterans. And some of the veterans are not getting the benefits that they need. So we have to kind of like fight for them between housing and limbs and things like that. A lot of them also just around like diabetics and back problems that just can't seem to navigate through the Medicare system.
Right. Do you get involved with the care side of the elderly, the comforting side?
Both.
Rendering services?
Both. It depends on, again, the situation. A lot of them just need like help with home health aid.
Right.
So I have a couple agencies I work with.
Okay.
Some of them may need, like
So you act
power
as
of
a
attorneys
coordinator?
and things. Yeah, for them.
Okay.
I may have a volunteer go out there if they need help in just doing something basic as maybe cleaning their kitchen.
Right.
But because I don't think that warrants calling a home health service for one time.
Right.
But if they need constant care, then we have to figure out what insurance and
Who
things.
contacts you in that situation?
But usually the families.
Right.
Or even if they can, they'll do it themselves. It's just a lot of coordination and a lot of work. And what I'm finding more and more is the idea for us is independency. And a lot of them want to become dependent on you. And I try not to let that happen.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. I mean, what is the goal of the initiative?
The idea is to educate people with disabilities and their caregivers and people that work with the community that they need to learn how to be independent, not dependent. They have to learn that you have to make the first step in getting what you need. Nobody can do that for you.
Okay.
Unless they're totally not functionable. That's a different story.
Right.
But if they learn that they can take it themselves, they also feel a sense of accomplishment when it's over.
Who's that?
The people that I service, even the caregivers. Because some of these caregivers start where they don't know where to even look for services for whoever it is.
Right.
And once you get them on that right path, they're usually pretty thankful for it. And some of them, you have to sometimes maybe hold their hand for a couple of weeks or whatever, but then after that, they're usually pretty good about it. But if they don't take that first step, then you have to say, well, if you didn't do it, there's nothing that I can do until you say, I want to do it.
Are you talking about the person with the disability?
Both, and the caregiver.
And the caregiver.
Sometimes the caregiver sits on it too, and they feel that they can continue absorbing whatever it is that they need, and then three days later I'll say, well, we still don't have health insurance. And I'll say, well, did you call Medicare and find out why they denied a claim or why your health insurance was covered? No, I didn't do it yet.
Right.
Well, you're never going to know unless you call.
Right. How important is family involvement?
Very important. Family involvement is more important sometimes than any other involvement.
I mean, do you sit down? Is there a process that you go through where you conduct an interview with the family or an explanation of the family of what's expected of them?
It depends on the circumstances. Usually, yes. Usually at least with one member of a family that can help support what is needed to be done. One that can act on a person's behalf if needed.
Right.
Because there are days where, somebody just may not be of sound mind to do anything.
Right.
And if something needs to be acted upon or paper needs to be acted upon because of a deadline, I need to know a family member can do that. So, yes, we do. You do have to sit down with a family member.
You ever do it with family attorneys?
I try to.
Yeah.
It's just hard because not everybody wants to get involved either.
Well, I mean, what do you see as your day-to-day challenges in your business, now making your business continue to thrive and to grow and to become recognized? Because it's a relatively young company. I mean, 3 or 4 years old.
That's it, yeah.
And you've come a long way in 3 or 4 years. And having your own disability to deal with, it makes it even more incredible. But day to day, what do you see as challenges that you have to deal with in making your business tick?
Well, one of the biggest is funding. If we can get some of the funding established, it would be even better. Because then I can do a lot more space work and things like that, where instead of going into homes, I can condense and do group sessions in a space. Another thing is, constantly keeping up with what is out there as far as resources go. Resources are changing every day. Right. And also networking. I think networking is a big deal with thriving because as you network, the more clients you get, the more funding you get because they see that you're actually servicing.
Are you talking about you personally networking?
Or the company volunteers as a whole.
Okay. because you
Yeah.
and I have been involved in networking
Yeah.
groups, and
But volunteering is a whole other. Volunteers know that when they go out, they need to network also.
right.
I mean, it's rough for them because they don't understand why they have to do it. But if you get a good, decent group of volunteers, they'll do it for you.
What's the best way for someone to learn about your company? Is it do you have a website?
There's a website, and there's also direct call. I find if people call and get me directly, they find that a lot better because they still get the one-to-one interaction as opposed to
Right,
just
right.
reading something on a piece of paper or
Right.
off of a screen.
Do you